Are you familiar with the concepts of dependent origination and emptiness in the Buddhist philosophical system? The widely circulated notion that the four great elements are all empty is actually a mistaken understanding. In ancient India during the 6th century BCE, philosophical and religious thoughts engaged in intense confrontation. People attempt to understand the origin and functioning of the world by observing nature and contemplating the essence of life. However, when these ideas became entrenched within fixed frameworks, such as divine creation or eternal substance, a voice of transformation arose. After attaining enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, Shakyamuni Buddha proposed a completely new perspective, the doctrine of dependent origination. It is neither the dualism of matter and spirit, nor confined to the theistic creation myth. The doctrine of dependent origination reveals a profound truth. The world does not arise from nothing, nor does it exist due to a single entity. Rather, it comes into being through the conjunction of causes and conditions, and ceases when those causes and conditions dissipate. You might wonder why such an apparently abstract theory can still possess such powerful appeal more than 2,000 years later. Because it is not only the core of Buddhist philosophy, but also the pervasive reality in everyone's life. The doctrine of dependent origination teaches us that the occurrence of all things is not accidental, but the result of causes and conditions. Nothing exists in isolation. All things are interdependent and gradually interwoven. This insight not only reveals the laws governing the operation of the universe, but also profoundly influences people's understanding of the meaning of life. The profundity of the theory of dependent origination does not merely reside in the concepts of causality and interdependence. It also leads to a more perplexing proposition, emptiness. Buddhism teaches us that phenomena arising from dependent origination are, in essence, empty. This emptiness does not mean nihilism. Rather, it refers to the absence of an independent, unchanging essence in phenomena. Everything is in a state of change. Nothing exists apart from the interdependent relationships of causes and conditions. Perhaps upon hearing this, you may find it elusive or even somewhat baffling, but the concepts of dependent origination and emptiness are precisely the most profound aspects of the Buddhist philosophical system. They help us break free from inherent biases and attachments to the world, enabling us to find the wisdom to live harmoniously with reality. When we begin to understand the doctrine of dependent origination, we realize that it is not merely a theory explaining the world, but also a way of life leading to wisdom and liberation. By understanding dependent origination, we can clearly see the causes and conditions of phenomena. By insight into emptiness, we can liberate ourselves from attachments and suffering. In this video, we will delve deeply into the philosophical journey of dependent origination and emptiness, attempting to view this complex and wondrous world from the Buddhist perspective. If you're interested in Buddhist culture or are seeking inner peace and wisdom, please subscribe to my channel to listen together to the teachings of the Dharma. Namo Amida Buddha. May everyone's hearts radiate the light of the Buddha, be filled with the joy of Dharma, and experience unobstructed progress on the path. The Buddhist doctrine of dependent origination is a profound and unique philosophy that fundamentally addresses the core questions concerning the existence and transformation of all phenomena in the universe. At the moment when Shakyamuni attained enlightenment, he realized this truth. The existence of all phenomena arises from the convergence of causes and conditions. Their cessation is due to the dissolution of conditions. This perspective not only offers a completely new explanation for the functioning of the world, but also illuminates a path for each of us to understand ourselves and our destiny on our life journey. The first core point of the treatise on dependent origination is causality. All phenomena arise not from nothingness, nor are they the arbitrary arrangements of some external force. Rather, they're the products of the convergence of causes and conditions. Just like the growth of a tree requires the combined influence of a seed, sunlight, moisture, and soil. Similarly, our lives, destinies, and even emotional states are all woven together by countless causes and conditions. This causal relationship is not simply a straightforward cause producing a particular effect. Rather, it is a complex and intricate web, where each cause influences countless effects. Every result may also become the cause of other phenomena. Precisely because of this, every one of our thoughts and every action we take sends ripples through this vast web of cause and effect. The saying, "Each group of melons receives melons, each group of beans receives beans," is a popular expression illustrating the principle of dependent origination. Our actions today determine the outcomes of the future. However, the profundity of the doctrine of dependent origination goes far beyond this. It not only describes the inevitability of cause and effect, but also reveals a deeper principle, the dependent origination of phenomena. In this world, nothing can exist independently. Just as a flame cannot exist without wood, and river water cannot exist without rain and the riverbed, the existence of every phenomenon depends on the support of other phenomena. Once these conditions change, the things themselves also change accordingly or even cease to exist. This interdependent relationship makes us realize that everything in the universe is actually a whole, and nothing exists in isolation. The relationships between humans and nature, as well as among people themselves, are the best examples of dependent origination. Your happiness may stem from the kindness of others, while your suffering may arise from your attachment to the external world. From this extension, we can more clearly understand another important characteristic of the doctrine of dependent origination. The existence of all things is impermanent and conditional, not eternal. This is the causal emptiness in the doctrine of dependent origination. Emptiness does not mean nihilism. Rather, it signifies that all phenomena lack an independent and unchanging essence. For example, an ordinary piece of raw wood is not inherently called fuel, but only when the flame appears is it given the significance of burning. Once the flame is extinguished, the wood's identity as fuel also ceases to exist. This simple example reveals that the existence of things is not fixed, but a temporary state conditioned by dependent origination. Conditioned phenomena arise dependent on causes and conditions, and cease dependent on causes and conditions. Their essence is fundamentally empty. This may sound discouraging, but the wisdom of the doctrine of dependent origination lies precisely in its ability to reveal the true nature of phenomena. It teaches us that there is nothing worth clinging to forever, for nothing is eternal and unchanging. On the contrary, after understanding this principle, we can face the gains, losses, and changes in life with greater ease and equanimity. The treatise on dependent origination not only reveals the functioning of the world, but also provides us with tools to understand life. It helps us transcend appearances, perceive the deeper underlying conditions, and thereby find the wisdom to reconcile with the world. From the perspective of life, an important insight brought by the doctrine of dependent origination concerns our own existence. Our entire life, from birth to growth, from flourishing to decline, until death, is the result of dependent origination. Our bodies are formed through the karmic conditions of our parents. Our thoughts are shaped by the environment, experiences, and education, while our emotions and actions influence the surrounding world and others. Each link is not isolated, but the result of countless conditions acting together. More importantly, each moment of our present is a manifestation of past causes and conditions, and also the seed of future karmic retribution. This cycle is both awe-inspiring and makes us realize our responsibility towards life. Through the principle of dependent origination, Buddhism depicts a cosmic view in which all things mutually depend on one another. In this world, there is no absolute good or evil, nor is there anything that can exist eternally. Everything is in a state of change. All phenomena arise dependent on conditions. This perspective not only allows us to understand the world more comprehensively, but also enables us to examine our own actions more profoundly. Because each of our thoughts and actions is shaping the future world. The wisdom of the doctrine of dependent origination teaches us to view the world with a broader perspective and to face the vicissitudes of life with a softer, more pliant heart. It is both a philosophy and a way of life. Do not cling to appearances. Respect the law of causality. Understand that all things are in a state of continual change. As the Buddhist said, all phenomena arise due to causes and conditions, and all phenomena cease due to causes and conditions. This is not pessimism, but rather teaches us to find true peace and freedom amidst the flow of impermanence. Within the logic of dependent origination, Buddhism presents a profoundly important concept: emptiness. However, the term emptiness often causes confusion and even misunderstanding. Many people, upon hearing the term emptiness, immediately associate it with nihilism, the absence of anything, and even perceive it as a negative attitude towards life. In reality, the concept of emptiness in Buddhism is not so simplistic or crude. It neither denies all existence nor encourages people to escape reality. Rather, it reveals the true nature of things, helping us to perceive the ultimate truth of the universe and all phenomena. So what is emptiness? Buddhism teaches that all phenomena in the world arise due to dependent origination, and nothing exists independently on its own. When we inquire into the essence of a phenomenon, we realize that its existence is not spontaneous, but depends on many conditions. Just as the blooming of a flower cannot occur without the combined influence of the seed, sunlight, rain, and soil. Without these conditions, this flower cannot exist. From this perspective, the existence of a flower is not fixed, but a temporary phenomenon dependent on external conditions. This is the very meaning of emptiness. It does not mean that the flower does not exist, but rather that the flower lacks an independent and unchanging self-nature. This understanding of emptiness allows us to transcend the inherent concepts of substantial existence. Re-examine everything we perceive. Emptiness and dependent origination are complementary and interdependent. Dependent origination teaches us that all phenomena arise due to causes and conditions, while emptiness reveals that these composite phenomena are essentially devoid of inherent self-nature. For example, what can be a table, a chair, or even fuel? Wood itself has no inherent identity or meaning. Its use entirely depends on the changing conditions of causes and conditions. The same principle applies. Everything in our lives, whether wealth, status, or love and hate, is the result of the convergence of causes and conditions. They appear to be real, but in essence, they are empty because they lack an eternal and unchanging nature. By understanding this, we can liberate ourselves from attachment to external objects and realize that the world is not as solid and unchanging as we perceive it to be. However, the emptiness here does not signify nothingness. Buddhism often speaks of a non-duality of emptiness and form precisely to prevent misunderstanding. The so-called non-duality of emptiness and existence refers to the fact that although the essence of things is emptiness, their existence remains real due to the functioning of dependent causes and conditions. For example, a table, although it inherently lacks independent existence, can still be used for eating and working. Its function does not disappear because of emptiness. Rather, it is precisely because of its emptiness that it can manifest different functions and meanings according to changing conditions. It is precisely this flexibility of emptiness that fills the world with change and possibility. Understanding emptiness is not to deny the world, but to free us from attachment to superficial phenomena, enabling us to face the changes in life with greater ease. The concept of emptiness not only has a profound impact on an individual's attitude towards life, but also provides a powerful tool for dialogue between Buddhism and other philosophies. In the time of Shakyamuni, Many heterodox sects and other philosophical and religious schools advocated the view that things possess a fixed and unchanging essence or self-nature. They believe that every entity in the universe can be traced back to some absolute existence, such as Dharma or the self. Buddhism offers a potent critique of these theories through the concept of emptiness. Buddhism points out that if phenomena possessed an intrinsic, unchanging nature, they would be incapable of transformation and would thus be unable to interact with other phenomena. In fact, nothing in the world is eternal and unchanging. All things continuously change under the influence of causes and conditions, mutually dependent on each other. It is precisely the concept of emptiness that enables Buddhism to prevail undefeated in philosophical debates, becoming a profound and flexible system of thought. In the development of Buddhism, the understanding of emptiness has also undergone different stages. The Lesser Saint Buddhism focuses more on the phenomenal level of emptiness, such as indicating that existing things may not exist in the future, or that past things no longer exist in the present. This understanding, although accurate, remains largely at the level of observing impermanence. In the Mahayana Buddhist stage, the understanding of emptiness became more profound, and the concept of emptiness of essence was proposed. Mahayana Buddhism holds that phenomena are empty not only in appearance, but also in their very nature. Their existence is entirely the result of dependent origination and conditions coming together, without any inherent, unchanging essence. This understanding of the emptiness of essence not only makes Buddhist thought more comprehensive, but also allows us to profoundly realize that since the nature of things is fundamentally empty, our attachments and fixations toward things are also empty. This philosophy further guides individuals to transcend attachment to the self and the world, attaining an inner liberation. Regarding emptiness, a common yet often misunderstood saying is the four great elements are all empty. Many people think that the four great elements are empty refers to water, fire, earth, and air being empty, or they interpret it as life ultimately being empty. This misunderstanding not only distorts Buddhist thought, but also reduces the profound philosophical concept of emptiness to a mundane and negative notion. In fact, the four great elements refer to earth, water, fire, and wind, which are considered the fundamental material basis that constitute the world. The concept of the four great elements being empty does not mean that these elements do not exist. Rather, it means that their essence is emptiness, lacking any fixed or unchanging self-nature. Furthermore, the concept of the four great elements being empty signifies that the entire world itself is empty. It exists dependent upon the changing conditions of causes and conditions. With this understanding, we will no longer use emptiness as an excuse for procrastination or passive behavior. Instead, we will face the impermanence of life with a clearer and more mindful attitude. The concept of emptiness is like a key that opens the door to the true world for us. It makes us understand that although everything in the world appears solid and unbreakable, it is actually the product of dependent origination, transient and ever-changing. It is precisely this emptiness that makes the world vibrant rather than rigid, filling life with possibilities rather than despair. Understanding emptiness is not about distancing ourselves from life, but about living life with greater wisdom. It encourages us to let go of attachment, but not to abandon effort. It allows us to see the truth clearly, yet does not evade responsibility. In the concept of emptiness, we find a true freedom, an ease in facing the changing phenomena, and a composure untroubled by gain or loss. As the Buddha said, emptiness is not negation, but a way of re-examining the world, allowing us to find inner peace and wisdom within the flow of dependent origination. The Buddhist doctrine of dependent origination, with its uniqueness, offers an unprecedented interpretation of the nature of the world. It is not a mysterious faith, nor does it rely on a fixed essence. but rather it is a dynamic wisdom that reveals the truth of the interdependent origination of all phenomena. This thought not only breaks the ancient Indian philosophy's attachment to an eternal substance, but also transcends the dichotomy between matter and spirit. Using an open logic system to answer the laws governing the universe's operation and the mysteries of life. From the perspective of dependent origination, the world is not static or unchanging, but a mutually interconnected web propelled by causes and conditions. No phenomenon can exist independently. The arising and cessation of all phenomena depend on the changes of external conditions. This insight transcends the generalized concept of non-dual self, as seen in Buddhist forums and various philosophies, and also goes beyond the limitations of the dualistic opposition between soul and matter. The doctrine of dependent origination neither believes in absolutes nor blindly adheres to fixed entities. He tells us that the reality of the universe lies in the ever-changing relationships of dependent origination. Through this dynamic perspective, Buddhism endows life and the world with greater vitality and possibilities. More importantly, the doctrine of dependent origination not only pertains to the universe, but is also intimately connected to each and every one of us. Happiness and suffering, success and failure in life are all caused by conditions. Actions are the cause, and destiny is the effect. Understanding this, we no longer blame fate on external factors, but clearly recognize that every thought and every action of ours is the seed of the future. The uniqueness of the doctrine of dependent origination also lies in its universality. From ecology to psychology, from sociology to quantum physics, many fields of modern science coincidentally affirm this wisdom of Buddhism. For example, the theory of interdependence in ecology and the causal chain of behavior and emotions in psychology resonate profoundly with the perspective of praditya dependent origination, in Buddhism. Buddhism recognized this intricate web of cause and effect over 2,000 years ago, and modern science has merely validated it through a different approach. What is even more admirable is that the doctrine of dependent origination does not deny the existence of the world, but rather invites us to re-examine everything from the perspective of emptiness. It reminds us that nothing is permanent and nothing exists truly independently. Precisely because of impermanence, our world is filled with possibilities. Precisely because all is one, we can find strength through our actions. The doctrine of dependent origination teaches us to accept change, let go of attachments, and face life with a more flexible and resilient attitude. The excellence of the Buddhist doctrine of dependent origination lies in the fact that it is both a wisdom revealing the truth and a method guiding the world. It teaches us to view the world with a clear mind and to face life with a peaceful heart. Whether contemplating the essence of the world or seeking the meaning of life, the doctrine of dependent origination serves as a guiding light illuminating our path forward. Precisely for this reason, it is not only the core doctrine of Buddhism, but also a timeless and spaceless treasure of thought. By perceiving the dependent origination of all phenomena and relinquishing attachment, the world becomes unobstructed. Understanding the truth of emptiness, life is freedom.